Hello, good morning. I have changed a little bit things at home because we had a birthday party. I know everything is different. So I'm just gonna record here on my phone. Welcome to these daily transmissions. We are starting the third week, and I'm very excited to announce the theme of this week. This week, we will be talking from many different angles about suffering. Is it possible that we might be slightly or completely addicted to suffering? Is it possible that we call the suffering within ourselves as contrast that allows us to progress in life? How can it be even possible for us to think that we could call in suffering from the self, suffering from our family members, suffering from the world and our community? Because literally, this is not what we want, right? I'm sure that all of you listening to this maybe replay on my podcast or with me live now on YouTube, I'm sure that your heart is pure and beautiful, and that you know genuinely you don't want to suffer to start with, but you certainly wouldn't like others to suffer. So why is it even possible for me, for Sandrine, how dare me, to even mention the possibility that we might actually be calling that suffering in our lives as pathway of evolution? And I will share this with you as I sit here present, fully connected to my soul, oversoul network, and the whole that I am, and the whole that I have been, through many different lifetimes on earth, experiencing intense suffering myself, also my share of suffering in this life, like all humans, as well as other star systems. And I share from an angle of deep compassion, as I also work with so many people, in my one-on-one sessions or through private mentoring, and I witness, the depths of the suffering that people go through, every day in their lives. Maybe it's in the past for most of them, or maybe it's still present very intensively. And it's been a subject that has really been present in my conscious awareness since I was very little, actually, because I remember talking about that to mom and wondering why we would even be coming on this planet, why I would witness literally people around me, adults around me. I could see them calling that suffering. I could see them asking for it. And I was wondering, how could this be? And how is it that I'm also doing it? Because I would feel through my life the magnetic pull of creating more suffering for myself, so I could be at the levels of others, so I could be one of them. I could be one human, belonging in humanity, because humanity was born through cycles of suffering as pathways of evolution. So I speak here with many different perspectives, for many different timelines, and also many different perspectives as a mentor, as a teacher, as a coach for other humans, and also with me for this transmission this week. I want to announce that I have many ascended masters by my side that are all very eager to share certain understanding that they have about the human condition that we have on the planet at the moment, and how we are here to learn to transcend that. So it's going to be extremely potent week. And because I just want to give a little warning straight away, saying that it's going to be touching many of your prickles, as it does touch many of my prickles. It's like little thorns, that are around, and we don't want to touch them because it's painful, literally. So here's like, but Sandrine, you want to talk about it and help us, not feel it anymore. And what you're doing is literally you're going to come, and with everything that you share, you're going to touch these thorns around, which is going to make me uncomfortable. It's going to make me feel maybe sad or angry or frustrated or feeling guilty and ashamed and so on. And I just here to remind you that you can identify with these prickles, with these thorns, but that you can also identify with the beautiful rose that you are. And here there is already beautiful connection with Ascended Master Mother Mary, as she always brings this through her transmission with the metaphor, the analogy of the rose. And we are all of it. We are all of it. And us trying to avoid our thorn doesn't allow ourselves to open up in our own beauty, for our rose to open up in beauty. Instead, it's literally like we identify with the thorn. So we think we are the thorn, and therefore the beautiful bird that we are is simply like, dropping down, because it thinks that it has to pay a lot of attention to the thorn, that the thorn are it, when actually the thorn are just present for specific reasons, and that can be activated as healthy boundaries, as all the times we find in our heart the courage to say a sacred no. And here's the first key that Mother Mary is sharing, is that when we start diving into the delicate subject of understanding why we become addicted to suffering, it is to understand that, to start with, we need to reclaim our ability to tune into the heart and to find the sacred no, and say, this is a no for me. Like, if we have a conversation with someone, or if we are willing to put a certain substance in our body, maybe a drug, recreational drug, or like medicine, like medicine, I don't know, like too much chocolate, too much caffeine, all of these substances that are highly addictive, and it can be also delicious. I'm not talking about likes and dislikes, but when we find the ability to say a divine no, sacred no, it's literally, we are there thinking our thorn to be there, and it's simply there existing. It's not that we take our thorn to consciously create suffering for another person. We simply say, that's actually a no. This thing that you're asking me to do doesn't really sit with me, doesn't align with me. Like, literally, it's not in me to actually say yes to this. And if I think I need to say yes so I don't create drama, so I don't, like, if I feel like I need to walk on egg with someone else who is an anxious person, a stressed person, has a lot of mental issues and so on, it's like, therefore I feel like I can never be myself. I always have to say yes, because what could be the reaction of this person? This person is so bad himself or herself already. We have to realize that our sacred no can be a sacred no given with love and compassion, and that it is simply that we do not wish to cause suffering for another person, that actually we realize that by giving a sacred no, we are going to preserve our own energy, and we are going to end a cycle of suffering. So this is the first angle that we are going to explore this week around our addiction to suffering. And during this week, I would love to invite you to journal about it, because this is when we can journal and allow ourselves to put what we feel is maybe uncomfortable, what we like, what we don't dislike, what we resonate with, what we don't resonate with. When we can put everything down on paper, we literally allow our subconscious mind and our conscious mind to start co-creating together, so we can find creative solutions for ourselves, so we can have aha moment, light bulbs, downloads. So look after yourself by being there for yourself. Remember that, the mother, especially Mother Mary, and all of these divine frequencies, these ascended masters, the angels that are there for us, when they come and they work with us to help us understand our suffering, it's like they don't take the suffering away. It's like they can see us suffering, but like they cannot take our burdens, because they are our burdens. But what they do is that they continuously act as mirror of our own strength, of our own courage, of our own light, of our own love, of our own compassion, and of our own ability to walk through this journey as the beautiful being that we are, the beautiful being that is whole, that is vibrant, that wants to choose love as a guiding force of evolution instead of pain, instead of suffering. When we start understanding suffering as the angle of starting with the self, we can start reflecting upon a few things. Is that what is it in my life that I keep on doing, and that I know it's really not that good for me, but it's very hard for me to break that habit, and a little bit is not that bad. And here I'm talking about all sorts of addictions. In my life, I've had many addictions. I was addicted to alcohol, and I was heavily addicted to weed, like intensively. It was very, very intense. And that was since I was 14 years old. And then I was, consuming these substances pretty much daily, apart from when I was pregnant, until a couple of years ago. And it was really me finding ways to cope with the intensity of life, with the suffering of life. And it took me many years of reflecting upon these negative habits that were controlling me, these addictions that were controlling me, and the suffering I was causing myself, to be able to find the compassion and the love that was needed to find a reconciliation within the intimacy of my own heart. And that came with the realization that I was deeply judging myself for having had or having these addictions. And because I thought that I was weak, I thought I was not good enough, because I'm not strong enough, because I was addicted, I just couldn't let it go. Every occasion I was finding excuses. Oh, I will do it again next time. And then I would quit and start and quit and start, these endless cycles. When I realized that I did that because I needed to find some kind of fun in my life, a distraction, an escape, because I had nothing else, I realized that my human found a creative way to cope. And that it was it. When I really went deep, I realized that in my personal situation, I don't talk about any situation, like, because we are each, in the own relationship with our own physical body, our addictions, our health, and so on, our mental health, and so on. So here, I've just talked about my experience, right? So when I realized that I was simply using these substances to find some kind of joy and love, because I was so broken inside, that if I hadn't found that, I might have ended it, literally, because there was nothing else that I could find that was exciting enough, joyful enough, creative enough, rewarding enough for me to give me the drive to live. So when I had my daughters, I got married, I had my daughters, and moved countries, things started really shifting in a way that I felt like this is now too much. Like, this addiction is actually not giving me any joy any longer. On the other hand, it is giving me pain and suffering, because I don't want to be a mother that's an addict. I don't want to give that example to my kids. And then I feel bad. I feel it's like so much, literally, so much of my health, my money, and my energy are going into that. And so therefore, I did many programs. I had coach and mentors to help me walk through that. And I'm mentioning these addictions because I know that a lot of humans feel that it is normal to have a drink every day, to cope, to relax, and so on. But these are coping mechanisms. Why do you need to cope in the first place? What is this band-aid? Why is there in the first place? And it can be also addiction to food, and it can be mild, but it is already like there is an opened wound. Even like we can feel it as a metaphor. It's like we want to repair broken bones and open wounds and deep traumas with these little band-aids, and it's not really going to last long, right? We're going to have to put more and more and more band-aids everywhere to be able to just keep going, ignoring this thing. So when we understand a little bit more about the quantum principles of life, which is like some of the laws of life, we can remember one of these laws, which is quantum resonance. So basically, it's like the magnet effect, like we attract what we are matched with in terms of quantum resonance. So it means that when we have already suffering within ourselves, that comes from inner child, like being in household where our parents were already suffering, they were already sad and angry, or maybe they were kind of like happy people, but in many areas of their life they were just pretending or just like faking it, or there was this like manipulation that they had inside of themselves, trying to convince themselves that they were happy, when as a matter of fact they were not that happy. They were really unfulfilled. And so all of us, we have inherited these patterns, so it's already present within our genes. And humanity's suffering has been there for eons, literally eons. So it means that when we are born, we already have all of these data of suffering within ourselves. So what happens is that we start functioning a lot from those angles of perspective. And because of this principle of quantum resonance, we're going to simply continue attracting that because these frequencies are present within ourselves there. So it is completely unconscious. And parents keep on inflicting suffering to their children because it is unconscious. And I can see myself very clearly with all the things that I did to my daughters, and that sometimes it comes out of my mouth and I'm like, delete this, take this back, because I was unconscious about certain things I was going to say to them, or I did say to them, or I took as actions, and it was just like unconscious words, and it was nothing ever major. But still I could see the suffering codes in that and how I was perpetuating that if I would keep on doing it. So now I'm trying to be very conscious into not perpetuating, the suffering for my daughters. So when we can realize with so much compassion that this moment in time can be a turning point in our journey, because we can choose to observe if we keep on self-inflicting suffering to a beautiful human being, and how we're going to go about that. And it's not that we need to change everything radically, but having conscious presence and awareness about certain things that we do in terms of food, drinks, drugs, addictions, and so on. And that is really like, now it's the time to shift that. Then we can start creating a proper plan and stick with it and go with it with courage and confidence and compassion towards ourselves. So we don't judge ourselves for being in this position, because we do try the best we can with what we have always. Like, I have so much faith in human beings. I know that human beings are absolutely amazing. They are extremely powerful. It's just they haven't really received these many keys of multidimensional embodiment yet, which is what I'm teaching, which is what I'm sharing. So I'm inviting you to continue journeying with me, through different programs or one-on-one sessions, if you like it. So when you start self-reflecting after you hear this transmission on certain ways that you might be perpetuating suffering in your life because of the way you treat yourself, I would love for you to call in this divine mother presence, this angelic presence, which is going to come from within you, because you are that already, but also from around you. And this divine energetic presence is really going to act as a cocoon to remind you that it is okay, that you are safe to explore the intimacy of yourself, that you are safe to open up, because it is just you in your cocoon. And therefore, what you're going to find is, yes, certain patterns that are not really, really nice to look at, but you will look at them as the mother does to a child that is simply learning, for example, not to draw on the walls, because yes, like maybe some walls in certain places, certain circumstances, like the whole house painted in crayons, maybe not. And so the mother just explains that with patience over and over again if the child keeps on doing it. And then the mother will direct the child to something that is, aligned, which is, you can draw on these big pieces of paper and these cardboards and these colored papers, and try to make the other option very exciting. So you're going to be like that. You're going to find this pattern that you have been creating that's causing you suffering. And then you're going to say, oh, it's okay. It's okay, you've been doing it. Now, look, I suggest we try this option instead. How would that be? How would that feel if we were to try this option instead? And so you're super kind, you're gentle with yourself. And then you might feel that you need to go deeper and actually talk to your inner child and really do some profound inner child work. But at times you will find that it's like every day you redirect your attention to the other option that is uplifting. Look, instead of having all of these substances, what about we have a glass of water, we put our shoes on and we go for a walk? Yes, even if it rains, even if it's windy, because you will feel very different after. You know that. What about, we find courage and we actually do this. And you redirect your attention like this, away from suffering into something that is constructive. And here I don't necessarily talk only about patterns around food, addictions, and so on. I also talk about mental patterns. How many times do you say to yourself, oh, I'm so stupid because blah, 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 I did that. How stupid was I? How dumb am I? Like, I keep forgetting everything. Like, my brain is really, I'm getting so old. Or look at my body. Like, my body is never good. Look, I'm always in pain here. It's always sluggish, blah, blah, blah. And how many times do we bash ourselves like this, thinking it's normal? No, 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 no. That's got to stop. That's literally anchors of suffering that we keep on perpetuating. It's literally taking like I don't know what it's called, but like a rope, and you hit your back like this. I'm so bad, I'm so stupid, and then you hit yourself like this. So we have to stop that, because that is suffering. Okay, every time you think negatively about yourself, catch yourself like, oh, you've just said this. That's okay. Now you've got the awareness of it. So is this really necessary? Is this where you really want to keep going right now? You only want to keep on bashing yourself? Or maybe you can find some kind words to yourself. Look, there is the other option. Oh yeah, maybe I was a little bit distracted when I did that or when I said that. But right now, when I reconsider it, I would choose a different option. And I know I'm intelligent. I'm an intelligent woman. I'm super capable, and so on. It's just that, at times, yes, I'm busy, I'm distracted, and so on. Well, welcome to human life, right? No big deal. So you redirect your attention. So every time you do that, you open up your consciousness. Every time you do that, you allow your subconscious mind to heal and alchemize past traumas, belief systems, and fears that are deeply ingrained within you and that are literally preventing you from finding a greater level of soul alignment, and they are creating a better life. So every time after this session, you notice during your day, you notice over the next couple of weeks, you write things down, and you have all of these light bulbs. Every time, I would love to invite you to call in higher level of love for yourself and compassion for yourself, so you don't perpetuate the cycle of suffering through guilt, shame, and regrets. These are your 3 red flags. Here, when we connect with Ascended Master Mary Magdalene, she teaches us that to be able to move forward in life, to be able to become the true light warrior, divine soul embodied in physical reality, enjoying the best of life, here to create a legacy, here to help others. When we walk into getting to know ourselves more, into finding a greater level of soul alignment, what Ascended Master Mary Magdalene says with us is that we have to do it and leave behind all shame, all regrets, and all guilt that simply cannot come with us, because these are hooks of suffering. So we go about with that, with observing why we feel this way. At times we feel that there is this loop going in our mind around it. We feel like, I need to go deeper. Let's go deeper. Let's go and work with the inner child. I will teach you how to do that during Pathway 1 of Soul Alignment, which I would love to invite you to join in if you like this kind of subject, because it really helps to go very deep on this, to be able to find greater level of soul alignment and find many ways of understanding ourselves through all of these angles that I bring into the teachings and wisdom that I share as I co-create with these Ascended Masters by my side all the time. So when we work like this, if there is a really drawn into going deeper, we go deeper. But most of the time, we find that actually just placing our attention there with divine, loving compassion is enough to alchemize maybe thousands of years of suffering in one moment, because we are so aligned with the truth of our own divinity that the light that shines literally removes the lower fractal reflection frequency of our being into dissolving them, into creating space for higher experiences to happen. So we can learn to transition into evolving, choosing love as a guiding force instead of waiting for contrast or suffering to happen in our life so we can change something. Once we understand this, when this aha moment happens, we realize that we do not wait to be very sick to look after our health more, to detox, to remove all addictive substances and sugar and processed food and meat and dairy and all of that that is highly toxic food. We do not need to wait to be, like in a deep scarcity mindset, or to be really triggered by others, or to hate ourselves so bad that we can't live with ourselves any longer. We don't wait for anything or do things to be able to evolve. We can evolve because we know who we are. We want to experience more of our multidimensionality. We want to reclaim our divinity within this physical body as our physical body, our reality, this beautiful reality that we share and co-create all together is spiritual. This earth, this everything is spiritual. We are spiritual, our body is spiritual, matrix is spiritual, everything is spiritual. There's literally no separation. So the more we can reside inside of ourselves, refusing to feel ashamed, to feel guilty, and to have any regrets about things of the past, imagine the freedom that we are giving ourselves to then step forward and choose love as a guiding force instead of suffering. So, as Mary Magdalen encourages us to do, leave shame, guilt, and regret behind. Find the highest level of love and compassion for yourself now, but also for your past self. So, having made all of these decisions, taken all of these actions because you didn't know any better. When you know more, when your consciousness expands, then you can start perceiving things differently. And then it is your responsibility to start shifting, to start moving forward by not repeating these self-inflicted suffering, because you choose differently with courageous consistency and loving attitude towards yourself always. And when it is needed for you to simply connect to the purity of some of your thorns, may you find in yourself the courage to activate a sacred no and say, look, thank you very much for offering me this possibility, for inviting me there, for asking me for that money, for saying I should be feeling this way, I should be feeling that way. Thank you very much for offering me all of this. But actually, it's a no. It's a no. And then, phew, simply there is no shame, no regret, no guilt. When we are residing within the truth of our own heart, simply setting up our boundaries, we say no to create a new loop of suffering. Okay? So obviously, this subject we could talk about forever. So this is a short transmission today. I would love to invite you to join me every day of the week on this subject. So tomorrow we're going to do a meditation that's going to be super beneficial. On Wednesday, it's another share. Thursday, it's quantum healing. And then Friday, another share. If you like it, please subscribe to my channel. You can give me likes, you can comment, and you can also share with your friends if you think it's going to help them. Also, I would love to invite you to join Pathway 1 Soul Alignment, which is starting at the end of April. Enrollments are now open. And in this pathway, I will hold space for you, me, so many teachers in the physical and non-physical level. So you can come and you can literally crack yourself open with ease and grace as you are held through this divine container of accelerated evolution. So at the end of this 5-month journey, you would not believe how much you have changed, because you did the work, because we did not pick up your burden. We taught you how to heal and alchemize it, how to remove it, how to surrender to it, how to understand how to work with the dynamics of life that I offer to you through challenges and suffering, so you can rise no matter what, so you can become more and more of who you came here to be, which is literally a spark of divine God frequencies here to have a great time on earth, choosing love as a guiding force, choosing to experience heaven on earth here now, because this is why we came. Remember that we chose physicality at the moment of the great transition. Time has started. And if you're listening to this, may it allow you to tap back, to reflect back into the own magnificent soul that you are. Because if you choose this time, it means that you are really, really powerful. If you're really powerful, you can completely choose to move away from suffering as template of evolution now and instead enter accelerated pathways of evolution through choosing love as a guiding force. And if you would like to have some support through this journey, so we can walk by your side, showing you the way to the reunion with your own self, join us for this 5 months journey starting at the end of April. It would be absolutely amazing to have you there. You can find all information on my website, sandrines.com, and enroll now. I love you dearly, and I'm already looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you, Johannes. Thank you, Georgia. Thank you. Looking forward to speaking with you, Georgia. Yes, bye.